Canon R5 can do 8K recording and Sony A7 IV can't. R5 can do 5K recording, Sony A7 IV can't. Well, these are easy decision makers, but before you plan to spend $1,400 extra on R5, I would suggest you to look at all the specs so that you can take the right buying decision. Hi there. Welcome to Camera Then Coffee, where you and me talk about deserving cameras. And today, I'm damn excited to share with you a detailed specs comparison of the new Sony A7 IV and the powerhouse camera Canon EOS R5. It's a new channel, so if you find this video helpful, do consider subscribing. It helps me when you do that. So the new hybrid camera Sony A7 IV was finally unveiled in October 2021, 13 months after the release of Canon EOS R5, and it is priced at approximately $2,500, $1,400 cheaper than the Canon R5. Now let's start with the image quality specs of the cameras. Both the cameras have full frame CMOS sensors, but the one in R5 has 45 effective megapixels. Better the sensor, better is the resolution and dynamic range, which makes the camera deliver highly detailed images. However, frankly speaking, 33 versus 45 is not a very huge difference. And these are the formats in which both the cameras capture and deliver final images. Moving on, both the cameras are powered by the latest processors of the respective companies. And together, the new sensor and the powerful processor allow good continuous shooting on both the cameras. However, comparatively, R5 has a higher frequency continuous shooting, both mechanical and silent shooting, which might prove to be one of the good reasons for you to pick R5 if you are into wildlife or sports photography. Speaking of ISO, both the cameras offer the same range. But one thing which puts A7 IV ahead of R5 is the wider expandable ISO range, which does make a difference. And speaking of shutter speed, both the cameras freezes the fast actions with the same speed. Now let's talk about autofocus. Both the cameras houses advanced and latest autofocus systems, which allow smooth and confident continuous focusing in all recording modes. But if we talk about numbers, where Sony A7 IV has 759 face detection and 425 densely positioned contrast detection points that covers approximately 94% of image area, the R5 on the other hand has 5940 autofocus points with 100% face detection coverage across the sensor. Now here points do make a difference, but still I would suggest you to look at some real tests before buying one. Moving on, during nighttime photography or in other low light situations when light is not in our favor, the R5 will win the battle as it claims to focus down to light level of -6 EV. And when it is about eye, face or head detection, both the cameras are really good and ensure that the shots are sharp and in focus. In addition, you get real-time tracking on both the cameras that works on humans, animals as well as birds. Looking at the dimensions of both the cameras, A7 IV seems to be both smaller and lighter than the Canon R5. But even though A7 IV has a smaller and comparatively lighter body, it has a heat dissipation structure that allows it to shoot 4K video for a longer period of time without overheating. And thanks to that, there is no recording limit in A7 IV. We'll talk about it later in the video. Next up is screen. Good for creators, both the cameras have articulating touchscreen, which is really helpful when taking a high angle or low angle shot and obviously when you're vlogging. But the one on R5 has 2.1 million dots, which elevates the brightness and crispness of the screen. And speaking of electronic viewfinder, there is not a very huge difference in both of them. And unfortunately, both the cameras don't have an internal flash, which is fine because external flash is always a better option. One really good thing both the cameras have is that they allow SD UHS Type 2 cards in one slot and the high-speed CFX Type A cards in the other slot, delivering faster writing speed and better buffer capabilities. Now let's look at the batteries. Both the cameras have an internally chargeable battery. However, it looks like the A7 IV has better battery capacity on papers. But in real life, it varies a lot and totally depends on the way you use it. And regarding video battery life, the Canon hasn't specified anything about R5. And when it is about weather sealing, even though both the cameras feature dust and water resistant construction, this cannot completely prevent dust or water droplets from entering the camera. So yeah, you'll have to take your precautions. Cool. Now before we move on to video specs, let's have a quick look at the ports. Welcome back guys. Now the video specs, and here lies a lot of difference. The R5 can capture 8K RAW or RAW light video up to 30 fps with the highest bitrate of 2600 Mbps and 1700 Mbps. It can also do UHD 8K video up to 30p in 10-bit 422 with a max bitrate of 1300 Mbps. However, according to fellow creators, 8K internal recording overheats the camera in about 20 minutes, and you will have to allow the camera to cool down before recording again. However, you can solve this problem to some extent. If you use R5 with the Atmos Ninja V Plus external recorder, you won't have to worry about the heating issue. And if you do so, you will also be able to record 8K ProRes RAW up to 30p without any recording limit. Plus, you will also get an option to record 5K ProRes RAW up to 60p with the external recorder. And when it is about 4K, the best A7 IV offers is UHD 4K up to 60p in 10-bit 422 with a max bitrate of 600 Mbps, whereas the best R5 offers is the DCI 4K up to 120p in 10-bit 422 with a max bitrate of 1800 Mbps. And when it is about Full HD recording, both the cameras offer 1080p up to 120 frames. And just like the internal recording, the R5 wins the battle in case of external recording as well. And yes, both the cameras offer their best logs for video recording. Lastly, A7 IV can be directly used for 4K or Full HD live streaming, and at the same time you can internally record your stream. And yes, good for videographers, both the cameras house in-body image stabilization, but the R5 offers 8 stops of shake reduction. Other than all these specs, I think these are the 4 last features which give an edge to A7 IV over the R5, and they do play an important role. Cool, this is it for now. If you still have any confusion, feel free to drop it in the comments and I would love to help you. And if the video was helpful, do support me by subscribing. See you in the next video.